Hello, Internet. What do you say? We dive back into the great Ace Attorney. See if I can get off of a murder rap. If I can't, it's going to end my career very fast before it even begins. Well, alright. When last we left Intrepid Hero, he was trying very hard to prove British professor in Japan. Well, let's see how far we get this time around. From what I recall, the courtroom drama was almost at an end. Made in feudal Japan.
Rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify.
This guy is a Ferengi. I see. Alright. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense.
Ha! You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded.
5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more.
But, Your Excellency...
I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it, a report about something? Written in English? It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's! After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory. Dr. Wilson is the victim who was murdered. In the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, wait. Kazuma's voice. Hang on. Let me see. Oh, yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under a professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't think so. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects? Interesting. Curare? What's that? I've never heard that word before.
The time's up! It's been 5 minutes! The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from my courtroom.
There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eyes over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Gisele's report has been entered into the court record. A report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett has been researching during her time at UMay University. Right. The current theory is that Dr. Wilson was murdered not by the gunshot wound to the chest, but by a poison administered beforehand. However, medical tests have found that no poison known in all of Japan has been found in his system. But maybe it was a new, unknown, undetectable poison. This could be the proof we needed. Goodbye then, and good luck. Females not allowed in a courtroom except to testify. What ridiculousness.
You have had long enough, counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer.
Oh, right. I'm sorry to inconvenience this young, beautiful English woman. I only say beautiful because that's what they keep calling her. Yes. How inappropriate it is of me to detain you in order to prove my innocence in a murder trial.
I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but...
The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency.
Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance.
Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence.
That look, the unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett.
Yes, Your Excellency.
If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer.
It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline.
Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order.
I've said many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense.
My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention?
Well, let me go over to page 2 here of this thing. A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. Hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. The above-mentioned effect occurs when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Interesting. Well, let's present the evidence. Miss Giselle Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at UMay University doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison?
What?
Poison? Where are you going with this, counsel? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What? What complete and utter nonsense? Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it.
You wouldn't have done.
What do you mean?
I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist. Correct, which means no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison.
What?
Order. Council, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among the European doctors and scientists.
To lace their arrows?
The report states further that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Huh? Trumpery! These aspirations are utter trumpery! To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed.
That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that.
I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain.
According to this, however, it's the other way around.
What do you mean, the other way around?
The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible! Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects would go largely unnoticed.
But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death.
The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe, it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move.
That's hideous.
To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? Hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing? What a happy tale for the defense!
If I may.
all these facts. You think you're so clever, but you must have...
It is you who must be taught.
Of course.
What was he saying?
You must be taught some manners. Dear lady.
So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them? I'm appalled. What a loathsome act.
Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual.
Whatever do you mean?
Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this! I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great Emperor of Japan is breaking the rules.
What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency. Yes?
Yes, Miss Brett.
I'm getting my voices confused. May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please?
Well, yes, I don't see, why not?
Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys.
Sorry?
To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers.
Wait! What are you doing?
She just drank the evidence. No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Well, she just messed up my whole defense on the poison angle. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned.
So, no curare.
The bottle was clean. Is that what you're trying to say? You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course. That's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind.
Grr.
Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency.
Yes, Miss Brett.
I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries.
Yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given.
You morons. Obviously, she didn't poison the bottle because she drank from the bottle. She poisoned his glass. That's why she put his glass in her handbag at the end of the dinner to get rid of the evidence, because only the glass contained the poison, not the bottle. But they'll figure it out, I'm sure, eventually, after there's been a little more dramatic pauses.
This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she...
How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? Oh, that wasn't her. How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose, if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have killed over dead. Think, Ryunosuke. Come on, Ryunosuke, we have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains no poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Ryunosuke? Isn't it obvious? If there was no poison in there, she'd be dead by now. If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your unadulterated naivete really astounds me. But sometimes it's in need of good staining, until it's as dark as your uniform and the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? Huh. What? That was a guileless ending to a promising line of Enquiry Council, for which you will be penalized. What? Ugh, this whole trial is poisoned. There has to have been poison in that bottle. Wait, that was the wrong answer? That bottle of water. I guess the right answer has to be that bottle of water contains poison. Maybe I'm wrong. Huh. The culprit did put curare poison into Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Objection!
Fool! Are you blind? There is no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw.
Miss Brett drinking the water from it? That's right. Which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained.
How exactly?
I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer's in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed? It's gotta be.
Yes!
It's gotta be this, right? It seems the defense, or should I say the wretched accused, is the only real source of complication in this case. You'll have to think harder than that, defendant. Sorry, Your Excellency. I'll try to find some better supporting evidence. You're making this complication more complicated than it needs to be. Alright, I'll do my best to find an answer that fits the facts, but really, you could help a little. If the defense, the wretched accused, truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. Show me why she could drink from the bottle. This is it. A moment of truth. I need to come up with an answer.
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Attention!
That's not a valid explanation!
No?
After all, we don't speak English! That report is utter gibberish!
What a stupid answer! Because we can't read the report? It's useless? The report's not evidence because you can't understand it? That's dumb.
This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency!
I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, Counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? The synopsis, special characteristics, or practical applications. That's not relevant. Instant paralysis of the entire body says can attack even in minutes. Route of entry. Above mentioned effects occur when poison enters the body through a wound, such as inflicted by a blowpipe dart. It didn't wound her. She ingested the poison. Maybe it's harmless in the stomach, but it's harmful in the bloodstream. That's the answer. We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat.
Get to the point, please!
But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Counsel. No, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see. That makes sense. Yes. The mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When curare enters the body through an open wound, it has its terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever.
What?
Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew curare's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... What the hell? Rapscallion! You mean the bird on her hat is a real bird? Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out. You're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really, me? A lawyer? I haven't even passed the bar yet.
Oh, all this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure. But I failed to see how it possibly...
So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw.
Schoolboyish? Flaw?
As even your brain has managed to deduce, curare is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastrous. Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he?
Huh! Oh, right. My whole argument up to now has been that she put poison in the drink and he drank it, and that's why he was paralyzed. But we've just proven that we've just claimed that it's harmless while drunk. I've undermined my own argument. How fantastic.
That's right!
Good gracious!
That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no?
Order! Order in the court! Order, I say! The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest?
Yes, this curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial!
That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you would understand something as simple as that.
This woman is evil.
What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Well, you didn't have to get so passionate about it. Oh, I see. It was, they were making a spectacle of the very first time Ryonosuke says objection in a courtroom, because he hasn't said it up till now.
I don't think so! How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well that there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both of you and the victim swallow the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead.
Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the curare?
There's proof somewhere. Oh, wait, I know! The evidence is right here! Which one is this? This one? Yes, the medical report card! The evidence is right here! He had just had a tooth extracted, and so when he drank the poison, it didn't just go into his stomach, it also went into his bloodstream through his extracted tooth wound.
Take that!
As Miss Brett...
So,
For a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. Huh. Extract. What is it? What just happened? Bottle. What are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from the broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you, it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. How could you? You won't get away with this. Thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. We'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in the bottle or not. You. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course! You're referring to this photographic presume, dear lady. That's right, and really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So, of course, the only person who could have shot him from the front is... why, the little schoolboy.
Objection!
Huh, no! You killed the victim that day using your curare! And then, in order to frame Riona's... you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Me. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryonosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now, is she really going to get away with it? The way
she destroyed that evidence was obscene.
Ryunosuke.
Yes?
We've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it.
What? What do you mean?
We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head.
In my head?
You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on.
Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan in her head.
So think back now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell.
What I saw? What I felt? Every color? Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of this same scene in my head? Could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer?
There's nothing. I give up.
I have to know what he says.
Hang on, let me save the game.
There's nothing. I've been over it 1,000 times in my head. There can't be anything more. At least, that's what I've been telling myself. Let's not forget that a lot has changed since the start of this trial. Your memories of that day have been stirred over and over again in the last few hours. Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Oh, so it didn't matter what I chose. Either I said I have something, or I said I don't, and then Kazuma convinces me that I do. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue.
Haha! You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on, then. Let's wipe that smug smile off that Englishman's face with some evidence. All right, I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. The clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been is the blood, obviously.
Take that!
Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes? What is it? He's still miles away, probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day?
Objection!
Wait a minute! Where are you going with this?
Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. When I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a splattering of blood.
What?
Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim, I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front. There's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him.
Ah!
Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon?
Objection!
This is beyond ridiculous! Fabricated nonsense!
Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing?
Hold it!
This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to.
Inspector, you mean...
Yes, I took the plate in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. And I took it, mean and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it.
You did what?
I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now.
Inspector, the court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately.
Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. I guess some amount of time has passed. Here is what you ordered. The steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it?
Of course there isn't.
Quickly, Inspector, the blood man, show the court.
Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. Oh dear. No. No blood. No blood anywhere. Wait a second. I don't think that's the right steak. Yeah, that's not the right steak. You brought us the other man's steak. Not this, not the... But no, that's impossible. I know I saw it, I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate.
What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always wear a bird on my head. And that's also why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Disc, I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire,
I believe we may finally have reached a conclusion to this trial. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over.
Ha! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest.
The plate of steak has been entered into the court record. Was the plate I saw, or thought I saw, just a figment of my imagination? This is it now. I've lost. Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. There's no R there. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what. believe in myself. Really? You're right, Kazuma. We've come this far. Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself.
As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of the evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? There's another clue. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth.
Objection!
The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beefsteak.
Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye anymore to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial.
I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled.
I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beefsteak is this new clue to be found?
Huh? What? What in the world is this?
I think it's a Koban coin, and the hallmark is from the Hoi era, I believe.
No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what's it doing there? I know what it's doing there. It's the other person's steak. Wait, did you say it was a Hoi Koban?
Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable.
This isn't the first time today that there's been talk of a Hoi Kaban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion before in bullion. Bullion in bullion? Wow, what a great pun! Except we're speaking Japanese, so that pun doesn't make sense. Like, it's translated to English, but we're supposed to be speaking Japanese, so that pun does not exist in I don't believe that pun makes sense in Japanese as it does in English. Suspension of disbelief shattered. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... This emblem on the side of the plate. Is it a cat?
It's a cow, obviously.
Most likely because the restaurant's signature dish is beefsteak. It seems a lot of different restaurants have their own unique tableware. So this is the symbol of the carnival, is it? Interesting.
I certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick cut of meat.
And it's from the Hoi era, too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well. Look.
What are you thinking, of eating it?
No, but the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, it's one thing for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. A Koban coin underneath the steak. There's only one logical explanation.
Got it!
Good gracious, that's...
Koban? What on earth? A Hoi era one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day of question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat?
Shut up!
What a ridiculous
ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
Objection!
I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction.
Objection!
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoy Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency.
Yes, Counsel?
A rare Hoy Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now. I'm just stealing Kazuma's line.
Objection!
By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway.
Shut up!
Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under the steak.
The owner?
Yes, obvious. It's obvious there's only one person it can belong to. The owner of the Koban that was found underneath the beefsteak is...
Take that!
this guy. Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and the owner of Rasatui, Kiro Korekuta-san. I butchered that name for sure. Kyuri? As in my cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable.
Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct?
Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying he was up to something with his Koban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment the gun was fired. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor, he said. Too busy on the floor. Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Hoy era Kaban, my prized coin.
Then this Hoy era Kaban, do you mean to tell me?
Objection!
No, please. Why would Korekuta-san's Kaban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense.
Yes!
Which is why I'm asking to bring Korekuta-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him.
Officer,
Bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here.
without a moment's delay.
I can't believe we come back around to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Kaban, we'll find that it's a key element in the case. To be continued? No. All 4 witnesses, 5 I guess if you include the baby, 6 if you include the swan, are now on the stand. At the same time. I didn't realize the stand was that big. I forget what voice I gave to this guy. It was like Bruce Campbell-esque.
What's this about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ado? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves.
Exploited by the police, we were. Like miserable dogs. Forced to bear witness to a false witness to a crime. And when God let me discover myself, I'm here and demanding a choice. A witness, the winner, the nothing more than I today. On this matter to each homeowner's existence.
Be that as it may, Korekuta-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. Assuming we can understand a word that comes out of your mouth.
He spoke too fast.
What did he say? As far as your Rasatui memory serves, have you ever seen this Kobabe?
Wow! That's the one! That's the very one! That's the very exact one that I did! The resplendent, splendiferous hoary treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day!
It can't be.
As I thought.
Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Whoa, where was my penny? Where was it dropped?
Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices.
Sandwich? Soaking? Seriously?
Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose.
Somebody concealed my hoary treasure between a thigh of meat and a metal plate? Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing!
Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course.
Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga.
I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case.
Oh, yes, that's right. A secret undercover operation.
La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau.
Wicked crimes indeed.
We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it?
Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal.
It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief.
So, unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis.
The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems, long before the murder crime even took place. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Korekuta-san's Koban is all too clear.
What?
What?
I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Korekuta-san's Koban and hid it under the steak?
I mean, it's obvious, right?
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you.
Sergeant Iesanosa! What? How? How dare you, you monster!
Monster?
I stole that Kaban, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet?
But it wasn't me. It was Ido. Ido is the mastermind behind all of this. Of course it was. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa.
Yeah.
Clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop. Wah! Oh no, it really is. I know. Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Yasunosa preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Do any of you know of the extraordinary low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe?
I understand that a temporary increase in taxation, owing to the recently ended conflicts, remains in place.
That's the wrong voice for the judge.
And I have heard it's hard to lower ranking office soldiers to make a living. Yes.
That's closer. Too many characters to voice all at once. It was easy when there were 3, but like there's 6, 7, 8 people. Right?
All I want is to put a hot meal on the plate for my son.
That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant.
The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I go there and do reconnaissance for a target.
And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. It sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man and his caban?
Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all.
A veritable phantom thief you are.
I was all set to leave the steak I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. 802. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could. On the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time. Well, Miss Brett. Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency?
Indeed. The theft of the Kuban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder.
Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it?
Oof.
And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness.
Very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. I can't let her leave. She's the murderer. Ryunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just
Something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly. Something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something that didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett! What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time. There's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a moment ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Objection!
What new student nonsense is this?
Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of meat, the sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction.
I'm gonna need to see evidence, Counsel. Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory. If they are, where is the evidence to prove it?
Right there. The evidence is here.
That!
The photographic print of the scene taken immediately after the incident occurred. What's interesting is the plate of steak that you can see on the victim's table.
The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Yes, go on.
More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed.
Now you're just splitting hairs.
Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural?
Unnatural? What on earth do you mean?
It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see, you've noticed it too, Miss Brett.
Noticed what exactly, Counsel?
Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork.
Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself.
Then take a good look at this steak, in particular the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there.
Ah!
Oh!
Ah! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks on the steak at all.
Objection!
But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry and couldn't stop her. Oh, whatever you say, dear lady.
As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer.
Of course. This will all be over in the blink of an eye.
Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Just leave everything to... I've heard enough.
You irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course, dear lady. I guess that means you won't go on a date with me.
What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers?
Kazuma, always one with the wordplay, you. Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She has realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the stake have for her.
Ryanosuke, do you know where you're going with this?
I do. Yes, now at last, it's all come together. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day.
I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us?
Everything, Your Excellency.
Everything?
Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson.
Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? Hey, you wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats.
How can you be so sure?
Oh, it's quite simple.
If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago.
Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet.
Hasn't been? What?
But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist.
This is absurd! The trial has run several hours already. You say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it.
I don't, but there is someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about this whole affair? Time to put my money where my mouth is.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on the steak with the teeth marks.
Yes?
Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. And as well as admitting to stealing Corrector-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak?
Tien-shun!
Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. Aw, really? Game? You've done so many other you've made so many other inappropriate statements. But you couldn't have made one right here? He really should have said, I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meat to hide something in it. That's really what he should have said. Let's be honest. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
But that makes no sense! The plate was taken from the victim's table.
Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire.
Well then, how do you explain this paradox?
Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over? Thanks, prosecution.
You did switch the plates!
Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the forward lady's table.
What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing.
It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what had to be done.
Unbelievable!
However, fear not, Prosecutor-san.
What now?
I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform, that is all I did, sir.
All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant knows to switch the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table.
Yes, that follows.
Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. Ah! Oh, she's biting her mask now. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot.
Shut up!
What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat, it can't have the slightest bearing on the case.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time, lady. I beg your pardon? How can she speak with her mask in her mouth? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak plan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? Humph, you're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see the plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Tisk thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett.
Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident.
Yes, sir. This guy, this waiter / detective,
He's giving me serious Brendan Routh vibes. Anybody else think? Anybody else? This guy looks like Brandon Routh. Sorry for keeping you. Here is the other steak and its plate. Please, feel free to examine it. The blood from the gunshot wound. The bloodstain is clearly visible. Look.
Yes.
Proof. Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. Huh. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. Ah! It can't be! In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. Ugh. That's right. Miss Giselle Brett. It's you! You shot Dr. Wilson after you poisoned him. How done? By a Japanese. Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no! That's right, you racist, sexist, murderous bitch. With a affinity for birds? Bird headgear? Wow, that went on forever. Oh, she can fly now. And her hat was clearly really pregnant. No, wait. They didn't come out as eggs, so it wasn't pregnant. It was just sitting on top of a bunch of baby birds. Or the birds just hatched. They were eggs that were also in the hat. What the frick? Her hat, her headgear, isn't just a live swan. It's a live swan sitting atop a swan nest full of eggs that were ready to hatch. She turned a nest, complete with mother swan, into a hat. Please excuse my little outburst. Little? That's the biggest outburst we've seen in this entire courtroom drama, and the prosecutor is you know, and that's including the prosecutor who is known for his outbursts. I briefly lost my composure. Briefly? Yeah. Those ahs went on forever. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. Let's see if this snake tries to wriggle out one more time. It was I who took the professor's life using curare. Oh, she's gonna come clean finally. She realized there's nowhere else for her to go. As you surmise, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So, you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water. Because curare is unheard of here in Japan. Yes, of course. I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water, and it would be all over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happen to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt.
Under your skirt?
So I was right. There were 2 guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which he had presumably placed on the floor, placed where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I had intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, bang! That's when you shot the professor with your own gun, even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and I apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor and his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Misdemeanor? Your Excellency.
Yes?
I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later?
I shall call on you.
Thank you. Good day then, everybody. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo-san. I can't pronounce that name, apparently. She also has the power of teleportation, or invisibility.
It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement?
This can't be. Taketsuchi Archie does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student.
You'd better start getting used to tough opposition.
Arg! Ryunosuke Naruhodo!
What? Yes?
This insult to the Archie family name will never be forgotten.
Huh. You've become conceited with age, Counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Whoa! Legendary lawyer indeed. 1,000 millennia may pass and still the Archie clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan.
This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case.
I thank you, Your Excellency.
The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. Oops. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it would look like, I cannot begin to imagine.
Well, let me tell you, Judge, hopefully there'll be a lot less sexism for one. Women not allowed in the courtroom except to testify. Good God, man. Fix that shit.
That is for the young to pursue.
Oh, it's my job to fix your problems. Okay.
Kazuma Asogi.
Yes? Oh, wait.
Yes. After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you.
I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind.
As for you, Ryonosuke Naruhodo...
Oh, yes?
In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryonosuke Naruhodo, not guilty.
We did it! Not only did I successfully defend my first case, I am not going to jail for murder.
This court is now adjourned.
November, 2:46 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants, Antechamber 5. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial.
Ryonosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma.
Ha 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 ha. No. It was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra-large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off.
I don't know who's speaking, but I am assuming it's that old professor from the university. No, it wasn't. It was me, Susato. I was just doing my best impression of the old professor from the university. How did you find it? Congratulations to both of you also for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence.
Our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know.
Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's that you delivered, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah, yes, of course. Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba, as in Professor Mikotoba. Ah, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. This time it's that dude.
Naruhodo, you did an excellent job.
Thank you, Professor.
Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you, after all. Your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend.
Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Professor Migodoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably, that's when you met Dr. Wilson?
Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital.
Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before.
Well, it was a long time ago now, besides. It's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world in science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot.
I will. I will learn all I can.
I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan.
You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you?
Of course I am.
A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder.
Ah, yes, her.
It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit, after all.
She will be leaving Japan in the very near future for Shanghai.
China? What? Shanghai?
Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country. I'm certain of that.
What? But why not? It's simply because she's set to appear in a future episode in this story. Obviously. It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, it was me, Inspector Hosonaga. I was just doing my best. And how did you... I saw Sasuke do an impression of her father a second ago, and I was inspired to do some impressions myself. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate. But what's this all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case. Somewhere far away, where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now, that we've signed the friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our government's making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for actions here in Japan. I'm afraid that for the young student, today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously.
But it's all going to change from now on. We can't make it change. Or we can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. The days of people being able to get away with murder will soon be over. Except, probably not. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for the celebratory drink.
But Professor...
You're right. This is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun.
It's true, whether or not Giselle Brett is going to face justice for her crime, at the very least we know I won't be paying for her crime. That's worth celebrating. Might I suggest Le Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Ahem. Let's not worry about details for now. To Le Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor?
Of course, Le Carnival's food is second to none.
I should go and attend the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh yes, thank you. So Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. Kazuma. Yes, Ryunosuke. I just want to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today.
I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work.
Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me. All that tense verbal combat? I never want to go through that ever again. I did what you told me to do, that's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean? That's the point. Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it? I'm human just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom, you can't really be backed into a corner. You can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you choose to believe in, even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your clients. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience. But you never stopped believing in me. Well, you faced seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it, through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I wanted to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. Sounds serious. What is? Ah, you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Ah, yes. That too. So, my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma. Professor Mikotoba. Susato-san, who acted... whatever. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still... It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through the trial. What did it say about Susato-san, who acted as my assistant? But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. The end. I guess we'll find out what that favor is in episode 2 of The Great Ace Attorney! Pick a slot in which to save. I guess... well, I guess I'll save in a new slot. I don't need... do I need more than one slot? What if I ever want to go back? Whatever. Episode 2, The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. But that, we'll have to wait for another day. And actually, I think there's a mini episode that takes place in between these 2 episodes that we'll do at some point. But that won't be today, because I gotta do some work. I gotta go to work. It's already almost 1:30. I have Dungeons and Dragons stuff to prepare for later. That's right. My job is running games of Dungeons and Dragons. Did you know? If you too can hire me to run D&D for you by going to dmondemand.ca and booking me there. All right. Anyone who is watching, thank you for showing up. There will be more adventures of the Great Ace Attorney in the future. Until next time, have a good one.